Get a great deal from today's sponsor at nordvpn.com/forge. Welcome back. It's been a year since we last did this. We're going to be reacting to movie and TV show clips of blacksmiths doing their thing. Let's get right into it. What is the first one, Jamie?
First movie is Infinite. The premise is this guy, his brain just knows how to do everything. He's never forged a katana before, but he just knows how to do it.
Okay, let's have a look. All right, first thing I'm noticing, he's using a Japanese doghead hammer. So as opposed to an evenly weighted hammer, it's got most of the weight on the striking end. So that's pretty authentic to how katanas would be made. So he's working down a big billet of steel. It might have like a high carbon core in it, and it looks authentic, looks really good. Forge he's using, this is a classic old English style side blast forge. So the air is coming in from the side of the fire. Nothing wrong with that, that could be anywhere in the world. I would say, however, he's getting the steel out of the fire for his heat when it's still pretty cold. It's only orange. This early in his blade development, he would want to get the steel out when it's a bright yellow, so it's as soft as possible. And from that tiny bit of steel, he now has almost a blade shape that he's quenching. It doesn't look like it's finished enough for it to be ready for hardening, one. Two, if he was hardening it, it's all bent and warped. So you wouldn't harden it when it's bent and warped because it's brittle. You can't straighten it once it's hardened. And it doesn't have an even enough heat to harden the whole blade. So this is just movie, see the water go psh, psh, psh. Oh, he's made a lovely handle on it. And I have to say, tying that handle, fabric material, is really difficult. When I made a katana a few years ago, I spent an entire day just looping that stuff around. It was a nightmare, so mad respect, Marky Mark. It looks like he made a really nice sword. I like it, good scene.
Why did he try to cut a pipe with it though?
Is he cutting a pipe? No, it's a bamboo.
It's a steel pipe.
You think it's a steel pipe? Oh well, he ruined it.
Next film is The Hobbit. It's short and it speaks for itself.
Okay, we've got, oh my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys swinging sledges. That's actually not uncommon. I think that we've done team striking before with 4, definitely, maybe 5 people. You just got to be careful with the rhythm. You want to do it with experienced people that know how to swing the sledge and keep time.
Very satisfying though, right?
It's super satisfying. It's like one of the funnest things you can do in Blacksmith is get, a bunch of guys and start swinging sledgehammers at hot steel. Oh, it's good. That, however, the guy is holding the yellow hot steel, so we're talking like 1200 degrees Celsius, and putting his hand between 2 swinging hammers that look very heavy. I have never seen any sort of swinging hammer contraption in a blacksmith workshop. Could it work? Maybe, but definitely don't put anything like your hand in there.
Why don't we make one for a video?
That's actually a brilliant idea.
Next movie is A Knight's Tale, and it's about making armor.
Okay, we've got a little hardwood charcoal fire burning, it looks like. It doesn't look like a proper charcoal fire would look though. This flame is so tall, and if you were forging, you'd be blowing air through it. You'd see way more sparks going. I have a feeling that for the movie, they just put something down that looked like charcoal for this scene, and then blew some natural gas through it and lit the gas on fire. This shot tells me more it's an artificial fire they've created, because they've got hot charcoal, but if they were blowing enough air through for it to be hot to forge, this stuff wouldn't be dull like this, and it's definitely charcoal because of the white remnants of ash on it. She's got a funny looking hammer. It's got a point on one end, a flat on the other side, and it has a big chip in it. You've got to take care of your tools. When they get chipped, you should dress them because the chips get worse, they send flying metal everywhere and can hurt you. She's done a Nike tick. Oh my goodness. That looks painful.
Next up, we've got a clip of how I imagine blacksmiths operated back in the day.
I love it. So here, this is another example of team striking. We saw in the earlier clip 5 guys swinging a sledgehammer at an obviously fictitious bit of metal. Here we've got 2 people swinging the sledgehammers and 1 guy swinging a small hand hammer. So you can call this stuff smith and striker work. The guy that's swinging the hand hammer, he is orchestrating this entire dance. Where he hits, he wants people to hit. Where he hits hard, he wants them to hit hard. Where he hits gently, he wants them to hit gently. This looks very proper. Nothing wrong with that at all. Certainly nothing wrong with the beer in the forge. I think that's very normal. I think, though, it doesn't look like an actual hot bit of metal. So that might have been staged.
Next up, we've got Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay, we're seeing more team striking on a blade with like a little point going off to one side of it. So that all makes sense. They're doing some sharpening. Why is a tree falling down there? Aha! So it looks like they're fueling their furnaces with trees, which wouldn't actually be a done thing, because when you have a regular log of wood, it won't burn hot enough for you to be able to forge steel at the temperatures that you'd like, and it's certainly not going to burn hot enough for any sort of casting operations. The only way you can make the actual tree work for forging or casting would be if you made charcoal out of it and then you used it to forge or melt things with. Again, we've got this like classic Hollywood, quench just half the blade while it's half done. This is definitely not done. You can see that they've cast these sword profiles with the little point on the end. You don't cast steel and then forge it. It's not a commonly done thing. The construction of these blades would be made up of wrought iron and steel that had been forge welded together, drawn out, and it would have originated from a bloom of iron as opposed to any sort of metal pouring.
Next we've got Samurai Jack, where they forge a samurai sword out of his soul.
The sole of his foot?
His soul.
Wow. That looks painful. Here's a hammer. Okay, he's got a sledgehammer. He's hit the ground. Why is there a lightning bolt? Oh, here we go. More team striking. We've got 3 of them. And actually, technique is looking pretty good. When I'm swinging a sledgehammer, I like swinging it pretty square onto my body. So I'll pretend with this hand hammer. I don't like the big kind of roundabout stuff where you swing it over like you're chopping wood. So they've got a technique that I would like. So is the heat for this coming from these guys' eyes? I mean, I don't see any block of metal. It's just coming from the dirt. 3 of them hit it at the same time. And success. He's got a katana.
We've got Avengers Infinity War. This one's very science fiction and extremely fictional, so we'll see if there's anything.
More or less fictional than the previous one?
About the same, I guess.
So he's lifting some doors with his strength? Is that what I'm looking at here?
So he's opening the forge doors, basically.
Wow. Does that mean his forge doors are as bad as all of the forge doors that I have made?
Probably not that bad.
Not that bad. Okay, so I'm looking at like molten something running through, and it's heating up these crucibles. Here we go. This kind of makes sense. He's got ingots in some sort of crucible that's being heated up. Okay, the metal's now molten. Lovely, very normal. So they're now pouring it. That's the ingot that they cast, and then he smashes it a little bit, and all of a sudden we have a completely finished axe. That is just fabulous. I didn't know that making things was just quite that easy. Okay, this guy's getting ready to do some risky business. That's hot. He's probably burning. And he's slapped them together, and it's now one piece. There are instances where you can make 2 pieces one piece. You can forge weld them together. You wouldn't typically be forge welding things that are made out of cast steel, whatever this is, because it doesn't like to forge so well. It would also need to be way hotter. It need to be white hot in temperature for it to forge weld. Anytime you see me make Damascus, that's forge welding temperature. This is a dull orange, so you're not sticking anything together there.
Second to last, we've got King Arthur Legend of the Sword, and I think this guy is forging pure carbon.
Pure carbon, so like
it.
Diamonds.
We'll see.
Okay. So when you see sparks like that erupt, the only time it would be mildly appropriate in the forging of a blade is maybe when you're forge welding some of the material together. But the trouble is that when you hit a bit of steel and the sparks go off like that, it's got to be really, 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 really hot. Beyond forge welding temperature and into the territory of starting to burn the steel. You get it that hot, you're making a crusty mess that's going to have more difficulty being hardenable.
Lastly, we've got the anime Berserk.
Nice. Hammer technique, looks good, anvil's at the right height. So here we've got another classic problem. We've got straight from forging into the quench. There's a lot of things that you want to do between forging and hardening the blade. You want to grind off as much excess material as you can without leaving it too thin, because it's a lot harder to grind once it's been hardened. One good thing that he did, however, was make sure that he quenched it with a nice even red heat. So the quench itself, nice temperature.
The sparks. I like seeing sparks. Breathtaking.
This is true. The sparks are beautiful. That's all the clips we've got for today. Let us know if there's any that you'd like us to react to down in the comments. Thank you for watching. Let's thank today's sponsor. This episode is sponsored by NordVPN. It's a virtual private network, and if, like we have had to do to be able to make this video, you want to do some streaming of some great online content, it might not work so well in the country you're living in, which is why NordVPN is so useful, because you can pick from any of the more than 5,000 servers they have in over 60 countries to choose where the websites that you browse think you're browsing from. Now, from a cybersecurity point of view, NordVPN is brilliant. Anytime you're ever on a public Wi-Fi network, whether you're traveling or at a hotel, you're at a much higher risk of having your data compromised. But because NordVPN encrypts your data between you and their servers, your internet service provider or any hackers are not going to be able to see the data that's being sent. It's not going to be slowing down your internet. One account is good for 6 devices at the same time, and they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's completely risk-free. So please go to nordvpn.com/forge. You're going to get a whopping discount on a 2-year plan, and if you click that link, you're going to get 4 extra months for free. Thank you, Nord, for sponsoring this video. Check them out. See you soon. Bye-bye.